So this one's gonna be about how to solve the problem of having emotional pain. And with that being said, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics fucking podcast. I'm pretty fucking pumped to be here as fucking always. And today I guess we are actually going through a pretty interesting article. I do think it's gonna help a lot. I guess I at least hope, judged by the by the title actually, I do hope that's gonna happen, or that it is going to help some people. It's going to help me, and it's not too long. And this is also just a great thing because I'm really into speaking right now. I'm not really into reading at the moment. So at this right moment, and I'm just seeing that there are also articles that I just have to go through because they basically are all about mental health, and I do think that this is very important. And also one of the articles that I was just viewing before this one that we are going to go through just in a minute or something was about whether emotion should be taught in schools, and I do think that it would be pretty important. I think it would really be important because, still, at least I've been doing, I think, one test throughout 9 school years that I'm going to have, maybe I'm going to take a test in the next year. I don't fucking know. But up to this point, it has only been, I think, one test where I've actually had to say which emotions certain people on a piece of paper are showing at the moment. And I do think this is also a great exercise to, maybe to build empathy. And empathy is something that's very important. And also just to know how you can really treat and also heal your emotional pain and understand your emotions and understand yourself. So basically building this self-awareness, that's very important. And this is basically the topic that we are going to go through today. And now on the left side of the screen, you can totally see 7 ways to practice emotional first aid from the ideas.com. Or dot, actually, it's not a tot, it's not a name. But I'm just going ahead I'm starting actually with the article. So psychologist Guy Winch lays out 7 useful ways to reboot your emotional health, starting right now. You put a bandage on a cut or take antibiotics to treat an infection, right? No question asked. In fact, questions should be asked if you didn't apply first aid when necessary. So why isn't it the same true of our mental health? We are expected to just get over psychological wounds, when as anybody who's ever ruminated over rejection or agonized over a failure knows only too well, emotional injuries can't be just as crippling as physical ones. We need to learn how to practice emotional first aid, and here are 7 ways to do so. And I would also say, these arguments, and not arguments, but these points that they are underlining, that they are pointing out, are pretty truthful, and that they are pretty the truth, because it is actually the case. Mental health, I think, still is, and it should not be, still is something that a lot of people do not talk about. And I think also a lot of parents are not talking about it, even though I do think that it is very important. And I also, which is something that just came to my mind pretty recently, the next time I'm asking someone how they are doing, how they are feeling, what's going on in their life and whatsoever, I'm going to ask in such a way that this person is going to be honest with me. Like something that I always do. Like if someone is asking me how are you doing? I'm always saying, yeah, I'm doing fine. Even though sometimes I'm not doing fine. Like I'm not fine all the fucking time. And I do think this is just quite normal. And I think everybody's just not fine sometimes as well. The problem behind this is, and the problem about this is staying feeling not good. Not doing something against it, not doing something about it. And maybe this article is also going to help with this kind of problem as I think about it. Because we should definitely not stay in such a mood. We should definitely not stay in such a level. We should definitely not stay feeling bad. We shouldn't feel bad. Life is fucking amazing, But I also just know that sometimes it's not amazing. But there I think you just really have to kind of repair or do something with your mind. Because sometimes we somehow feel like, everything is fucked up even though it isn't. And sometimes we think like we can never do something against it, but we can. And I do think, first of all, realizing it, something that I always bring up, but I still think that it's just something that's very important, and doing something against it. And I'm really looking forward to this article to see what you or I, can do against it. Whether there's some magic fucking pill, which I do not actually think like. But yeah, I'm going to see, or we are actually going to see. So pay attention to emotional pain. Recognize it when it happens and work to treat it before it feels all encompassing. The body evolved the sensation of physical pain to alert us that something is wrong and we need to address it. The same is true for emotional pain. If a rejection, failure, or bad mood is not getting better, it means you have sustained a psychological wound and you need to treat it. For example, loneliness can be devastatingly damaging to your psychological and physical health. So when you or your friend or loved one is feeling socially or emotionally isolated, you need to take action. Very, very important. And I do also think the striking thing about the whole topic is that when you are having mental problems or when you are having mental pain, chances are pretty high that you're also feeling physical pain because of your mental pain and your mental problems and your mental kind of things you should be solving. Because, it's the same thing with depression as I know it. As so far as I know, actually, depression can actually kind of turn into physical pain as well, which is just incredible, and which just underlines once again that our body and mind connection is fucking deeply. It really is there, and it really is fucking deeply connected. It fucking is. I think there's nothing to debate about it, actually. But I would actually say, like the text says, when you are feeling pain, you gotta have to do something against it. Even though, like, when we are having physical wounds, what they have already said, we are doing something against it just immediately. But when it's about, mental pain or psychological pain or wounds, we are not doing something against it just as fast as we should. And also, I think isolation and loneliness is something pretty fucked up. Really fucking fucked up. The second thing is redirect your gut reaction when you fail. The nature of psychological wounds make it easy for one to lead to another. Failure can often drive you to focus on what you can't do instead of focusing what you can. That can then make you less likely to perform at your best, which will make you even more focused on your shortcomings and on the cycle goes. To stop this sort of emotional spiral or vicious cycle, I guess, learn to ignore the post-failure gut reaction of feeling helpless and demoralized, and make a list of factors that you can control where you to try again. Very important. I think what he pointed out just in the very last sentence is something very important and something a lot of people talk about, and also a lot of authors in their books talk about, which is focusing on what you can control and not what you can't control. Like, we often just do this fucking thing. A lot of people. And the problem is that I'm just recognizing it over and over and over again. Maybe it's just my society. I don't know how the society is in America, for example. I do somehow assume that people are not as kind of negative there. I don't know why, actually. I really don't. But I'm just assuming. But I just really somehow feel like that the people in my society, the people are not necessarily the people around me, but people that I'm just encountering on the streets and whatsoever, a lot of them are fucking negative. Really fucking negative. They're complaining about the weather, they're complaining about being too hot, the fucking weather, they're then complaining about the weather being too cold. And I think you can't do something against the fucking weather. And this is something you can't control. You can't control the weather, therefore it is just unnecessary and just really wasting your time and energy and quite everything if you're thinking about it, and if you're complaining about it, and if you're feeling bad about it, that the weather is bad and you can't go to your trip or make your trip. You can't control it. You can still go to your trip and you can still do your fucking trip. You just have to cope with the fucking bad weather, if it's raining or whatsoever. But I do think they're totally right, focusing on what you can control and also thinking about what you can control just consciously makes just a lot of sense, at least to me. Like, it really makes sense. For instance, think about preparation and planning and how you might improve each of them. This kind of exercise will reduce feelings of helplessness and improve your chances of future success. Yeah, could be the case. I don't know. I don't actually get that point too well. Somehow, I don't fucking know. Really don't. I'm sorry. But the third one, monitor and protect your self-esteem. When you feel like putting yourself down, take a moment to be compassionate to yourself. Self-esteem is like an emotional immune system that buffers you from emotional pain and strengthens your emotional resilience. As such, it is very important to monitor it and avoid putting yourself down, particularly when you are already hurting. One way to heal damaged self-esteem is to practice self-compassion. When you feel critical of yourself, do the following exercise. Imagine a dear friend is feeling bad about him or herself for similar reasons, and write an email expressing compassion and support. Then read the email. Those are the messages you should be giving yourself. Great plan. Really is a great plan. And this somehow is correlated to a book that I actually do not remember the title of the book, which actually said, and I do think it was actually from Adam Grant, Give and Take, or Give or Take, I don't remember. And he was talking about actually helping yourself like you would help a friend of yours, because it is actually the case that we are somehow more able to help others than actually helping ourselves. I don't know if this is by nature. Maybe it is by nature. Maybe it is just because of society or how we just got raised or something. I don't know, but it just makes sense that you're, first of all, not putting you down yourself. Like, there are so many people, so fucking many people that are actually trying to get you down, consciously or subconsciously, I don't fucking know. But you shouldn't be a person that is doing that. You should not really be such a person, because there's still 8 fucking potential other people that will bring you down, that will try to put you down, maybe consciously or subconsciously or unconsciously. I don't know. It could actually be just, some people don't mean it like this. Some people are just saying something and they don't think about it. And then you also have to show empathy. Like, if you're seeing something or if you're feeling something, someone being very kind of unpleasant to you, someone being just very kind of harsh to you, feeling like, okay, maybe they are having problems as well. Maybe they are feeling bad as well. Empathy is something, I guess, is also just really good for your mental health in terms of actually being able to not feel bad because someone said something, which is definitely something that you should generally not feel like, only because someone said something that I also have to really work on. I've just been outside and I was going around with a backpack. I painted myself, because it was actually a free backpack from a bank, and I thought, like, you know what? I do not want to have the same exact backpack as just so many fucking people have. Therefore, I'm just gonna paint it, and I'm sometimes really feeling not that great about it in public. Like, I don't fucking know why. It doesn't look that bad. It somehow does. Like I don't know. Like, it's somehow mediocre, I'd say. Like, it's okay, but yeah. And I consciously, I had the option between actually going into the city where just a really big thing is going on. I don't, like a festival or something. They say it. I wouldn't consider it being a festival, but there are just a fuckload of people. just really a lot of people, and I went through all the fucking people. Because first of all, I really tend to forget that I'm just wearing a fucking backpack that's maybe just making me feel not that good about myself and my self-esteem. But I don't know, like I consciously always focus on giving a fuck what anybody might be thinking, and if somehow I think about what some other people might be thinking about, I always just say to myself, give a fuck about it. They don't know you. They don't know what's going on in your fucking head. They don't know what's going on in your fucking life. Even your best friend, even your fucking girlfriend, even though, I don't know, your parents don't know you as you know yourself. But yeah, let's go ahead with the fourth one. I'm actually somehow fear that I'm not going to go through the whole one. When negative thoughts are taking over, disrupt them with positive distractions. When you reply distressing events in your mind without seeking new insights or trying to solve a problem, you're just brooding, and that especially when it becomes habitual can lead to deeper psychological pain. The best way to disrupt unhealthy rumination is to distract yourself by engaging in tasks that requires concentration. For example, do a Sudoku. Complete a crossword, try to recall the names of the kids in your 5th grade class, and so on. Studies show that even 2 minutes of distraction will reduce the urge to focus on the negative unhealthily. Just the exact same thing that I've been encountering today, or that I've been seeing today. Like, I really fucking forget that I was wearing that fucking backpack, even though I'm probably feeling it. Yeah, okay, I'm actually also forgetting that I'm feeling it when I'm just, looking around, looking at the people, see what there's going on, and all these things. Find meaning in loss. Loss is a part of life, but it can scare us and keep us from moving forward if we don't treat the emotional wounds it creates. If sufficient time has passed and you're still struggling to move forward after loss, you need to introduce a new way of thinking about it. Specifically, the most important thing you can do to ease your pain and recover is to find meaning in the loss and derive purpose from it. It might be hard, but think of what you might have gained from the loss. For instance, I lost my spouse, but I've become much closer to my kids. Consider how you might gain or help others gain a new appreciation for life, or imagine the changes you could make that will help you live in life more aligned with your values and purpose. Actually pretty true, and this just really is another thing that is correlated to something that I'm doing all the fucking time, which is asking myself, what? So this is just something that I always do. I always ask myself, when something bad is happening, what I can learn from this particular thing. I'm sorry, by the way, because I just had to maybe cut the episodes together. Somehow I just enormously hope that's going to happen, or that it's going to work, because sometimes it doesn't and sometimes it does. I don't know fucking why, but it probably should be just working, because it's the same fucking format, same resolution, same everything, so it should be working. But I still always ask myself what I can learn from these shitty situations that I'm in. What can I learn from this? Sometimes it's more easily to find, and sometimes it's not. But it's just the exact same thing that they are talking about. Not focusing on the loss, not focusing on the loss being negative, but focusing on the loss being positive, and searching. I think this is just something very important to point out. You search for it, and you're gonna find it, but you always have to search for it. It's not gonna be there, because I somehow feel like, I truly feel like this. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but by nature, I guess that people are fucking negative, and people are thinking in a negative way. I don't know if there's some reason behind this, or if there's some purpose even behind this, but I somehow feel like that we are negative, and it shouldn't be the case, because life, again, is fucking amazing, and we should definitely not just focus on the bad things about life and the bad sides about life, but rather the very good things and the very good sides, because they are there. They really are fucking there. We only have to look at them. We only have to focus on them, and we only have to consciously see them. And then we're gonna find them, and then we're gonna see them, and then we're gonna be happy. Because if we focus on the fucking bad, if we are going to focus on the fucking good things, we are not seeing the bad things. There are only gonna be the good things. But let's move on actually with the sixth thing. Don't let excessive guilt linger. Guilt can be useful in small doses. It alerts you to take action to mend a problem in your relationship with another person. But excessive guilt is toxic, and in that it wastes your emotional and intellectual energies, distracts you from other tasks, and prevents you from enjoying life. One of the best ways to resolve lingering guilt is to offer an effective apology. Yes, you might have tried apologizing previously, but apologies are more complex than we tend to realize. The crucial ingredient that every effective apology requires, and most standard apologies lack, is an empathy state. In other words, your apology should focus less on explaining why you did what you did and more on how your actions or inactions impacted the other person. It is much easier to forgive someone when you feel they truly understand. By apologizing, even if for a second time, the other person is more likely to convey authentic forgiveness and help your guilt dissolve. Very fucking important, and I do enormously like this article. I enormously really like those TED articles because most of the time they're actually very, very good. And this is basically the concept that How to Win Friends and Influence People is all about, which is one of my favorite books, which is just very fucking amazing. Because Dale Carnegie in this book was talking about, and it is actually a pretty cheap book, and it's actually very, very enjoyable to read. I'm not a reader, but I went through the whole thing feeling good. I've even just somehow went through it 1.5 times, because up to really half of the book I was reading every singular chapter 2 times, because the author said you should do it. It still is a very great book. It really fucking is a great book, and he said that we should just show empathy, and that we should talk in the other person's state, in the other person's mind, in the other person's position, because it is very important. It really is very important. I'm just thinking about the reasons why he said that and why it is important and why it works. Well, I don't actually remember, which is a shame, actually, somehow. And at the moment, I don't remember, but I know it is fucking important, and it is fucking working, you know. The thing is, if you ask someone for something, and you can tell them what they can get from it, like, not thinking and or talking about it like, you know, I don't want to have a new job, or I don't want to have a higher wage, because I want to buy myself new sneaks and new clothes all the fucking time. Your boss is gonna be like, no, gonna give a fuck about it. But I guess it's something totally different if you are to your boss, I do want to have a higher wage, because then I'm able to work more for you. I'm able to build your business more. I'm able to do more, because I can somehow, I don't know, get a babysitter for my baby. Or I somehow, I don't know, I can somehow just enjoy my life more when I'm not working, and therefore I'm just way more rested, and therefore I'm able to work more and build your fucking business more, which is definitely in the mind and in the position of the other person. You know, it's not about you. It's not about you willing to have a higher wage because you want to have something, but you want to give something to this kind of person. Maybe it's not the best. It really, I think, is not the best explanation or the best kind of example, but it still is an example. But the 7th one, learn what treatments for emotional wounds work for you. So what treatments? Pay attention to yourself and learn how you personally deal with common emotional wounds. For instance, do you shrug them off, get really upset but recover quickly, get upset and recover slowly, squelch your feelings, or ... Use this analysis to help yourself understand which emotional first aid treatments work best for you in various situations, just as you would identify which of the many pain relievers on the shelf works best for you. The same goes for building emotional resilience. Try out various techniques and figure out which are easiest for you to implement and which tend to be most effective for you. But mostly get into the habit of taking note of your psychological health on a regular basis, and especially after a stressful, difficult, or emotionally painful situation. Yes, practicing emotional hygiene takes a little time and effort, but it will seriously elevate your entire quality of life. I promise. And I do also think that. And with that being said, I'm not going to stretch this episode this time. I could, I definitely could, but I feel like I shouldn't. I should end this way. Very great text. I hope that you've learned something from this. I hope that you're gonna just implement some of these thoughts into your life. I might be doing something as well. I'm really trying to remind myself way more on those things that I've been talking about in the episode. But yeah, I still wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success, and I hope that you're doing very, very fucking fine. And I also hope that you're gonna remind yourself on how you gonna be remembered. So basically your legacy and how you are going to be remembered, like whether as a good person or as a bad person. And this is totally in your hands. You fucking decide.